Our labor stock soared. Our capital stock soared in the aftermath of the Civil War. Dude, like, really, you can ask a question. I promise. I promise. You can be the first person to ask a question. You can.
Ridiculous speech that he's making. Where's my free speech?
Your free speech is during the Q&A, dude. I mean, like.
During the Q&A. I believe that I should have free speech now.
Well, nobody hired you to come up here and talk. So if you want to convince somebody to hire you to talk, it is economic illiteracy to suggest that America's economy is rooted in slavery. We are a highly industrialized economy. We have been for more than a century. And even when we were an agricultural economy, slavery was an economic drain on everyone other than slaveholders themselves. This means that the authors of the New York Times 1619 Project are forced into the unenviable position of blaming slavery for America's prosperous system of free market capitalism, which requires a hell of a trick, since free market capitalism is precisely the opposite of forced labor. So we end up with the absurd spectacle of Matthew Desmond suggesting that the quote-unquote brutality of American capitalism is modeled in slavery.
Terrible speech, Ben.
Okay, I've offered the opportunity for this gentleman to be first in the Q&A line, and now he's actually just disrupting the ability of everybody else to hear the speech. Honestly, I have a 3-year-old who disrupts this way. I'm simply not going to continue this nonsense until this person leaves, frankly. I can't, I'm sorry. I can't continue. This is silly. I appreciate it. Honestly, that's too bad because you heard it. I offered multiple times for him to ask the very first question. I'm more than happy to talk about the points. I'm not more than happy to have someone disrupt the speech for 1,500 other people because he can't keep his mouth shut so long as the speech continues.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Slavery's not funny. Ben Shapiro is just funny. I am very happy that this young man was escorted out of here by police. I believe Ben Shapiro's not a politician. He's not an elected official. Had this been a speaking event with an elected representative, I believe those people should be heckled to no end. I believe the American people have a right to speak up when elected officials are doing these sorts of events. Ben Shapiro's not. He is a commentator. This is an event that 1,500 people came to see Ben Shapiro speak. And this guy, who is purportedly a leftist, is screaming about free speech as if he even values it. You do have free speech. He can go outside of that event, and anybody who wants to hear him can go hear him speak, and there's no problem with that. But I can guarantee you not many people would leave and watch him speak or even gather to see him speak because he doesn't seem like he really wants to have a conversation. It seems like he just wants to be disruptive. But this is the issue with the left, is that they demand to be heard. Not only do they demand to be heard, but they demand that you adhere to their ideology, to their demands. They're very bossy. They're not very nice. Not very nice people. For people who purport to be for the collective. You purport to be for the collective, and then you ruin the time for 1,500 other people here. Not very nice. But, Ben Shapiro handled it well. I think he did the right thing, had the guy escorted out. But this is what happens when you raise an entire generation thinking that they have a right to not be offended, which is very much the way that this younger generation, and even a lot of millennials, think. They think they have a right to not be offended. That if you say something offensive, you need to stop talking because I just can't handle it. You need safe spaces. I'm sure he can go off on campus and find a safe space somewhere. But that's not what he wanted to do. He has a deep desire. The me generation, the hyper narcissistic generation, they just demand to be heard. And then they grow up and they realize nobody really gives a shit. And then it's very hard for them. So they flock to these entertainers like Ben Shapiro who have had a voice, and they try to hijack some of it from them. But good on Ben Shapiro here.